lesson 60 and the last session in human resource management development. And this is all about employer and employee relations. And this is all about, well, if you have a great relationship between your employee and employers, then everything's going to be okay and the firm's going to get better and better and better and improve. So how do you do that? Well, you have things like employee groups, e.g. Kaizen, which is all about continuous improvement. We're all about quality circles as well, where workers will meet after work, they discuss ways in which they can improve the firm, then hopefully their ideas will be taken on board. Now that whole process is called continuous improvement and is part of lean production. Then the next employees group is trade unions. Now traditionally people have seen trade unions as a body of workers who will make sure that they will look after their own workforce. That is their number one responsibility. So look after things like health and safety, redundancy and everything else like that. But it may also be the case that the trade unions want to work with the management. So the trade unions may be a meeting place where they come up with various ideas. And so not only do they look after the workforce, but it may be, in a sense, a cheap way for the firm to get hold of ideas. Now, if the management listens to the unions, then you're both in a win-win situation. So the unions can work with the management. We often think then, because of the past, when we had the miners' strikes, when the miners were against the management, that they always had to be in dispute with one another. Next, we have works councils. Now, a works council became popular in Germany when one members of the employee will sit on the board of directors. They will then be able to communicate the views of the employees about the way forward for the firm, and at the same time they will be able to go back to the employees and say what's going on within the firm. So that makes this whole process here far less secretive. If the board of directors say, right, we have to cut some workers because we're not making enough money and we need to survive, then the employee can go back to his or her employees and say, look, this is what they're doing and this is why they're doing it. So all these ways are ways of improving employer and employee relations. But of course there's loads of other ways you can do it: job enrichment, job enlargement, job design. You can fulfill Hackman and Oldhams' views on how you produce a motivated workforce, Maslow's pyramid of needs, etc., Herzberg's. So you can follow all of those systems, which is getting people to work in teams, and of teams then people will become more productive. And of course if you do this, then everybody can gain, because obviously if all parties work together, that increases motivation, but it will also improve productivity. And if you improve productivity, then firms can afford to pay higher wages, and then everybody can gain. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to stop and I'm just going to give you the big picture of this unit, and hopefully you can see how it all fits in together, and then that's how you can achieve good analysis, by using the theories to explain why a firm needs to take certain actions. Okay. Okay, lesson 60, and here we're trying to give a complete overview of the whole of HRM. Now, when we first started this section of the course in lesson 51, we looked at HR objectives, which is all about improving productivity. One of those on there was the alignment of values, and what that means was that the worker who works for you has the same values as the organisation that they're working for. Okay, then we moved on to soft and hard approaches to HRM. A soft approach is you want to train up the workers, you want to make sure you try and fulfill their needs, high levels of productivity hopefully from them, because you spend lots of money on training them up. Whereas the hard one is you accept the fact that workers are motivated by money, you're trying to reduce costs, so you don't do anything like that at all. However, you give workers strict targets to fulfill, and if they fulfill those targets, then they're going to get more money. Now, what I'm trying to say is that both of those may be necessary at certain points in time. The soft approach isn't always the best approach, although it probably is. How do we analyse HRM performance? Labour turnover, retention rates, employee costs as a cost of the total costs, labour cost per unit, which is total cost divided by output. Okay, and then we move on to influences on a job design, and then we decided, well, this will depend. You want to give the workers the right sort of skills, so they've got a wide variety of skills. You want to give their work meaning, you want to get them working with good people, you want to give them responsibility, and you want to give them decision-making powers. And if you do that, then you're probably going to have a psychologically a worker who is in the flow and happy to work with your particular firm. And then there's big decisions on how you structure the whole of your organisation. Do you have a flat organisation or a tall organisation? Do you delegate responsibility down? Do you empower people to work for your organisation? Are those workers theory Y workers, or are they theory X workers? Hopefully this will fulfil the theories of Taylor, Mayo, Herzberg and Maslow. Taylor's was the first theory, which is built on the idea of rational man, that people are just motivated by money. Herzberg is hygiene and motivators. Mayo was all about working in teams, which comes into employee and employee relations. From there, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But then what determines the workforce plan, largely it will be determined by your corporate objectives, but also have you got enough finance to train your workers? What sort of things are you trying to do in the future will probably be the biggest factor. And then all the external factors that will always affect a firm, that will then affect the sort of workers that you will want to get. Ultimately, you're always looking at a rise in productivity. But then you have to decide also what's the best way of paying your workers. Should you pay them by piece rate, commission, bonus payments, salary, or is it the non-financial side of things? Some people, some individuals, this goes out from Hackmans and Oldhams approach, was some individuals just like to go to work and create and develop. So if you can get those sorts of workers working for you, they're very, very useful to have in your organisations. Some workers are motivated by power, so they're interested in a powerful position. Now, so here we have all of that situation on here. And then we get employer and employee relations. And those are the different bodies that are involved there. Kaiser and trade unions and works councils. Right, it's all a way of breaking down the barriers between the two bodies. And if you can do all of that, then you're going to create high productivity. Create high productivity, then everybody gains. The firm gains because their unit costs go down, but also the workers obviously gain because they can be paid higher wages. So that's what you're looking for. That's what you're looking to create in an organisation, and ultimately an organisation will always depend upon the people that are within it. So obviously it's a key component of it. So hence you may decide to adopt the approach of a soft management skill.